G'day, welcome to Say It With Guitars. I'm your host, Pete Cornelius. Each episode I'll be digging deep and getting to hang with some of Australia's finest guitar pickers, songwriters, producers, collectors and makers. I look forward to bringing you these fun conversations and I hope you enjoy Say It With Guitars.
Hey there, legends. Thanks for joining us for the second last episode of the pod. What a crazy, hectic time of year this is. Goodness me, there's lots going on. Hopefully all is good in your neck of the woods and prepared for a great Chrissy, nice and cruisy, hopefully. A little bit of downtime, maybe some beach or some camping or whatever you guys get up to. Hopefully it's a nice chill atmosphere for you. What have I got happening? I've got a few things happening, I can tell you. Playing a show this Sunday down at Longley at the International Hotel. Got a bit of a pre-album launch preview show, so you can come and check out some of the new songs. I've got a bit of a bigger band as well. I've got a 5-piece, including extra guitar player Thomas Mitchell and a new bass player Louis Gill, and organ player or general keyboard legend Randall Muir, and drummer Bo Thomas will be joining me. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's a free gig, so come on out, folks. Come and hear some of the new tunes. Anyway, hope you all have a great Christmas, and you get a guitar for Christmas, perhaps some sort of guitar accessory. Anyway, enjoy the chat with Nat Allison, and you'll hear from me again soon. Before we crack into today's show, I'd like to shout out to our Season 3 sponsors, Tarrant Guitars and Top Shelf Guitars. The custom workshop of award-winning luthier Billy Tarrant on the northwest coast of Tasmania uses locally and internationally sourced solid tone woods to create a wide range of custom guitars, including acoustic, electric, lap steel guitars and specialty instruments, showcasing his passion for superior tone and structural integrity. Tassie's one-stop custom workshop for custom-made guitars, all guitar repairs and services. Visit tarrantguitars.net.au. Top Shelf Instruments specialise in used and vintage guitars, pedals and amps, shipping worldwide from Hobart, Tasmania. They love helping players land exceptional instruments for manageable dollars, and guitars from Japan hold a special place in their hearts. New old guitars hit the website almost daily, so head on over to the website for this week's weird and wonderful offerings. topshelfinstruments.com.au. All right, on with the conversation. Cool. All right. We're all good.
Awesome.
Okay. I'd like to introduce to today's podcast, Say It With Guitars, Nat Allison. How you doing, Nat?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
No worries. This will be fun. It's always a good excuse to hang out with a fellow guitar nerd and get in deep and talk about all the good stuff.
Sounds great.
So tell me what's happening. I know that I've been looking on the social pages, trying to get a bit of info in regards to what you've been up to and what's happening. So I noticed you've got recordings on the go. You're making another record. Is that what you're up to at the moment?
Yes, really close to all the bits and pieces being kind of fully recorded and ready to mix. So we're probably a couple of weeks away and then we can start mixing. But that's pretty much been going on from the beginning of the year. Between my regular gigging and touring, It's been quite difficult getting in the studio and just getting it done. So what is that, like 6 months basically so far. Ideally, I'd love to lock myself away and just focus on that totally, but we don't have that luxury, unfortunately. We've got to fit it in between everything else and then other people's schedules as well. But I'm getting there, so I'm super excited about it.
That's great. Have you got a studio close by, or are you doing a lot of stuff from home?
Well,
or tell us about the whole
in regards to
scenario.
When I'm songwriting and putting everything together, I do that from home. So I demo everything up. I come up with the bass parts, basically most of the drum parts, all the guitar parts, obviously, singing and all that kind of thing, demo it up, make sure I'm happy with everything. And then I'll go to an external studio, and I'm using one that is actually really close by in Brunswick, which is nice.
Yep.
And just basically go in with an actual drummer.
Great.
And just re-record everything from scratch. And but I still play bass and guitars, but I'll get someone on keys.
Cool.
And so that's kind of the process that I do, because I just can't get those sounds here in my home studio that you can get in a proper studio with someone who dedicates their time to pulling fantastic sounds and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no replacement for a real drummer in a real nice space with good mics. And especially if you can interact at the same time, like if you can lay a guitar track down, something about working with someone like that and just reacting at the same time as opposed to going, all right, cool, I've done my part, I'm going to email it off and get them to do it.
Yeah, we're lucky to have that, aren't we?
That's a great technique as well. We're so lucky to have that. But I think to actually sit in a room and just create a vibe, that's a magic thing to do. That's cool.
Exactly, yeah. And if things you adapt, don't you, as you're going along, like, because a drummer has their own feel, so you're like, I'll adapt my part a little bit to suit that better. And things evolve and change, which is what's beautiful about the whole recording process.
Great. Have things sort of changed from what you first anticipated from those original demos? Like, are you rearranging anything, or are you kind of like opening up improvisation areas, or are you kind of just tightening things up, or like, is there much changed?
Yeah, some things have changed, definitely on a few tracks more than others. One in particular is completely different musically, and even the arrangement I tightened up as well. It's a song that I recorded and demoed about, it's got to be maybe 20 years ago. I wrote that song with a guy named Mike Chapman. And
right.
Yeah, it sounded very different. And so I had to kind of it's a fantastic song and it's got a great message, but had to make it sound more now. And also tighten up the arrangement as well, because it was quite a long song. And as we know these days, attention span's not there anymore. So I tightened up the arrangement, made it a bit shorter. And so that one actually is very, very different. And
cool.
Some of the other songs
good,
as well.
though.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it's good you've, songs that have been kicking around for a long time are relevant to a time period. So if you can make it, relate to what it is now, like I'm saying, like if it can relate to the circumstances you're in now or just the times we live in, if you can have that ability to change a song to suit, I think that's what songs are all about, isn't it? Like just having a basic idea and a feel and a vibe, and then being able to translate it until it's relevant.
Yeah, exactly. And it was quite difficult to do, like really change the sound, because as you know, when you've heard something over and over again in a particular way, it's hard to break free from that. But we got there in the end, and it's sounding great. And just
awesome.
For your information, the song's called Think Clearly Now. So like the message behind it is just, it's not for a particular time period, so it's not stuck in time. You can use that message at any point in history, really.
Nice one.
Yeah.
And are you just self-producing, or you got someone involved to help you through the creative process with the vision and all that, with the sound?
Yeah, well, the guy who runs the studio, Josh Potter, he's like engineering it all, but he's also kind of helping with some producing sides of things. So we've kind of been co-producing it, really. It's evolved a little bit more.
Sure.
I think when I first went in, I was kind of just doing it all myself. And then, you know, as you get to know people and you get comfortable with their ideas, you kind of let that go a little bit and have their input come in, which has been really nice. I think we've worked really well together. So I'm really happy with it.
Is he someone you just met recently, like just in regards to using the studio space, or have you known him for a little bit?
Yeah, pretty recently. Late last year, a mutual friend of ours, Rick Butterworth, actually recommended Josh and the studio. They're reasonably new. And, you know, he said he's doing some great stuff, and I went in and met with him, and because I had to go in and re-record another song for a possible sync licensing deal. And then, we kind of hit it off, and so I thought, well, with the stuff that I want to be, the new stuff that I want to be releasing, it'd be great to go in and record that with him. Yeah, so that's kind of how that came about.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice, especially having someone pretty close. It's a
so
great
handy.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Duck over after work, get some tracks down.
Yeah, it's really good. Exactly.
Or some mixes and stuff like that. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
So what's the vibe of the new one? Are you kind of in the similar? I know I had a little listen through your catalogue today. Is it similar kind of? It's got a lot of pop elements, which sort of, I wouldn't say surprised me, because it's you're very driven on the guitar. I don't mean like overdriven, but I mean like, you know, every time I see you perform, it's like guitar's like right there. And all the music does sound very guitar-y, but yeah, it just had more of a pop influence than what I was sort of expecting.
Yeah.
How's the new one compare to your old work?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. I've always loved pop music, so that's why there's a lot of pop melodies and all that sort of thing, because I just love melody and great songs and things people can sing along to and bop along to, and I think then I've got those driving wall of guitar sounds because I also love rock music. So that's kind of how that stuff came about. But this stuff's going to be a bit more country pop rock, kind of going down a different genre, that's kind of something that's developed throughout the year actually, and with Josh and, you know, where I should be heading for the next era in what I'm doing. There's always going to be that kind of rock element to it because I can't take that out of myself. It's just in me. It just comes so naturally. But, you know, I love doing something different. I think I've been getting a little bit bored with the rock stuff and finding it a bit, you know, a bit drab. So
has that been from people that you've been influenced by? Like, are you listening to different people now, or have you sort of reached a bit of a writing phase where you're playing more acoustic style material, or like what's been the influence in regards to I know you said you sort of wanted to move along from the rock thing a little bit, but what's really influenced that, do you think?
I think a few things. Just the rock scene itself it's a pretty hard thing to kind of break out into these days. It's not probably the most popular genre around anymore with the kids. And then I think a lot of, and for some reason I've kind of, in the last however many years, my music hasn't really fitted in with what everyone else is doing as well. And I think that's made it a bit difficult to kind of get somewhere with it. What else has pushed me in? Just doing something different is exciting. Like I feel excited about it. Feels really good for some reason. It's a bit scary at the same time because, you know, you have people that have been following your career for a long time and they're probably going to think, God, what is she doing? Something completely different.
To ask you your hand. Loving you completes me, knowing that you need me the way that I need you. Feel the nerves kicking up, lost my words, no more waiting. Just feel my heart beating. You're all that I'm needing. I'm down on my knees, please. Marry me now. Oh, marry me now. I've been with you for some time, but from the first night I found where I belonged. And touching all my senses, leaving me defenseless. I gave you all of me. Oh, it feels so close, there's no stopping us, there's no turning back. Just feel my heart beating. You're all that I'm needing.
But I'm excited about it, and hopefully it'll mean I can, get some new fans from this, from changing it up a little bit. And
Yeah.
and I'm a little bit older as well, so I think it's a good genre to kind of age into as well. So there's a bit of logic to
Yeah.
it also. Yeah.
Great. No, it's definitely a genre. Like I listen to artists like Lucinda Williams. Like she puts a lot of rock into her songs, but she, I don't know. Just sounds like, to me, it's just earthy American sort of folk music, real, or Americana kind of. It's just got depth, which I really like about it. And you can still shred on a guitar, or you can still just play some cowboy chords and sing your heart out. Like it's just such
100%.
honest sort of
There's
music,
still-
I think.
I really love that there's such detail in the songwriting. Like they're just great songs.
Yeah.
Lyrically and musically, and I think that's what's really nice about it as well, which I can really relate to because I'm such a stickler for every little part being just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it, and I still think, with the country music scene, they will always have that, whereas I think that's been lost a bit in the rock scene,
Sure.
just that really good
Yep.
songwriting.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one to sort of pinpoint why and how. I guess there's a lot of different ways people can write a song and can perform a song. Like, and especially I think in the last, for a while there, guitar was a dirty word. Like rock bands like the Foo Fighters, were the only ones sort of bearing the torch for a long time. There's a lot of, you look at any top chart, any top 40 chart, there's like no guitars. Like I try and teach kids at the local schools, or a few students. Okay, cool. Let's look at the charts. We'll learn some songs, and then you pick up the guitar, and it's like, oh, there's no guitar. We have to like work out all these keyboard parts on guitar. So I think naturally rock has unfortunately taken a bit of a. I'm sure there are lots of still diehard fans out there who are totally into it. And when I didn't actually see them, but the Darkness came down here earlier this year, and crowds, huge crowds. So that's still popular as a genre, I think. But I just think the demographic is getting older.
I was at that concert, by the way.
You went to the Darkness?
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was fun. Just I'd never, because obviously it's not been a band that I've listened to a whole album from. Look, I probably have, but not for a long time. So only their hits were really kind of prominent in my mind. And so I went to the concert with a kind of like a blank slate, which was I really enjoyed it. It was like just going to see a local original band, and then all of a sudden there's a few hits thrown in. So I really enjoyed it. It's great hearing new stuff. They were a fun band.
New
He's
stuff's
a quirky
great.
guy, isn't he, the front person?
Oh, he cracks me up. Have you seen his YouTube channel?
I haven't, but I should check it out.
Yeah, it's great. He does a lot of he doesn't have a bad word to say about anyone. So he gets recommended really well. I don't know, bad's probably not the right word, but he watches a lot of subjective material on YouTube, and he reviews it. He tries to find positive things to say about it, and humour is always pretty high in his commentary. So yeah, it's definitely worth a look. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. So has it made you approach the guitar a bit differently? If you're thinking a little bit more on the rootsy sort of country side of things, are you sort of approaching tones differently, or are you reaching for a Telecaster as opposed to the White Falcon? Like,
yeah, actually, in the studio is kind of where that's been happening. Trying out different sounds and using things like tremolo and delay, like a tremolo up at a really high, fast speed, and then a little bit of delay and short delay in there as well, getting that kind of tremolo whirly sort of sound on the guitar. So that's been really fun.
Yep.
I wouldn't normally, set the settings on my tremolo like that. So that's been fun, yeah, approaching different sounds, trying out different things. I brought in all of my guitars to the studio. They're still there actually. And, for every part we tried every guitar, plus the studio's got a couple of guitars as well. Like I've used a Stratocaster to get that single coil kind of sound on a few things as well. I don't actually own a Stratocaster these days, so that's kind of been fun trying that out.
Yeah, so even for a while there, Stratocaster was a dirty word.
Yeah, exactly. Everything had to have a humbucker in there.
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. It's good to experiment, especially with things that you wouldn't normally go to. Like everyone has their sort of safety net or safety blanket settings. That's my trem sound, that's my reverb sound, that's my delay.
Yeah.
And you kind of just stick to it because it's a good, comfortable, predictable, you stomp on it, bang, it's going to sound like that, sweet.
Yeah.
But then
exactly.
if you get someone else to come in and tweak a little bit, you're going to go, oh, it's not kind of what I'd set it at, but then you'd probably play differently because the tone's different. I think that's having someone else in the room like that in that sort of moment is such a great aspect, or a great tool to have up your sleeve.
Oh, it's amazing. Like you just creatively you come up with completely different guitar lines purely because of the sound you're using. That's definitely been a fun process. Makes it very exciting playing something very differently to what you normally would.
Yeah. How long have you been playing guitar, Nat? When did you first start?
I started, I think it was about 8 years of age. So 8 or 9. I can never work out exactly, but it was around that time. And so that's about 30 years, 30 or so years.
Yep.
A long time. I don't know how to do anything else.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Did you grow up around Melbourne as well?
Yeah. So when I was really young, we lived in regional Victoria in Castlemaine.
Yep.
And then as I started playing guitar and taking lessons, and as I was progressing, my dad kind of thought it would be really good for us to move to Melbourne so that I'd have more opportunities to do something musically, which I'm very thankful for. So we packed up and moved to Melbourne. I think I was about 12 been in the northern suburbs most of that time since then. There was about 10 years I lived in South Yarra, but mostly the northern suburbs like Coburg, Preston, Pascoe Vale kind of area. So I'm really a Melbourne girl. It's most of my life.
That's a big move, a big call for your parents to pack up the family and move to Melbourne. That's That's really something.
Yeah, well, my dad really loved music himself. He's Croatian, or he was Croatian.
Yep.
And I think giving me that opportunity was really important to him because it's an opportunity he wouldn't have been given as a kid coming from where he came from.
Yeah.
So I think that drove him a lot. And I think his love for music was probably why as well. So because he saw what I was doing and thought that was really beautiful. I'm lucky for that. But it was not a whole family. It was just he and I because my dad brought me up basically on his own.
Okay.
So it was a little bit easier to
Sure.
move than having to pack up a whole family. It worked out for me.
That's great. And I suppose there'll be pretty special times too, like taking you moving to Melbourne with your dad and concentrating more on music. Like, were you getting lessons from anyone in particular around Melbourne, or you kind of like, was there a music program through school, or what was the sort of main reason, or not reason? What's the main, like? Did you have a mentor like that, someone you look up to in terms of early days of guitar?
Yeah, all of it actually. My guitar teacher is a man named Ian Nancaro, and he was so I'd have private lessons with him every week. And he played in bands himself. We ended up actually starting a cover band together when I was a bit later in my teens. So that was nice.
Cool.
So he was a wonderful mentor and an incredible guitar teacher. He's still teaching now and he's in his 70s.
Wow.
A lovely man and a fantastic player, fantastic teacher. He's just got that teaching gift. And then probably another really, exactly. And probably another really major influence and mentor for me. I'm not sure if you've met her, Pete, but her name was Josie Jason.
No, I don't think I have.
A long time rocker guitar player in the music scene. She passed away, unfortunately, from cancer just before she turned 50. So she's been gone for a while now.
Wow.
But when I was a teenager, she kind of took me under her wing, which was really wonderful. I'd come to band rehearsals and just like learning. There's one thing practicing something at home and then there's another playing it with a band, and she was able to teach me those things. This is what you got to do when you're all in a room together, listen, what's the other guitar player doing? What are you going to be doing? Are we doubling it? If we're doubling it, we've got to, be locked in and doing the same thing. But if we've got a different part, that's, stuff like that you takes a little while to learn. And just having those people around me, shoving me in there with them, I think it accelerated my playing a lot quicker than what it would have if I didn't have that.
Oh,
so I was very, very lucky as a teenager.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
What do I wear? What do I say? Wish all of my fears would just go away. I'm so afraid. What if you say you're not the one that I dream of? You're not the one. You're not the one. You're not the one that I dream of. You're not the one. You're not the one. You're not the one that I dream of. I'm ready to crash. I'm ready to fall into your arms and never come out. My mouth is all dry. My bed is a mess. There's just one thing I've got to confess.
And would you guys, like you'd perform live together?
Yeah, so it started as
Yep.
they just got me up in their bands as a kind of like a learning thing. I was already playing gigs
Yep.
myself in my own bands, but they'd get me up. I'd go to their shows and get me up for songs that I'd gone and rehearsed with them. And then again later down the track, a band that I was fronting, Josie actually was playing second guitar with me in my band, so in my original band, and which
Wow.
was really fun.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
That's great. It's great to have someone like Josie who was happy to spend the time showing you those, because it's all small things that generally don't get talked about. It's just like you get thrown into the hot seat. It's like, all right, you think you can play guitar, like go.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to either really be good at reading situations and knowing what records sound like and what is needed from your perspective. So,
Yeah.
but if you can have someone go, no, move higher at the neck, or maybe change the pickup, or maybe just let's lock in together, or let's try an alternative tone. So
Yeah.
to have someone like that, that's such a great treasure for sure.
Yeah, the little tips make a big difference, and
Yeah.
and I think it also when you have some people around you just giving you those little tips, it also helps you to learn how to work it out yourself a bit more too, and listen more as well. Kind of
Yep.
just gives you that perspective.
Yeah, and confidence too. If someone can sort of give you praise for doing something that, especially if you've done it with your own initiative, if you've gone, oh, I might just do this, and then someone goes, oh, that's really cool. And you, makes you feel good. You probably, you always play better when you feel good. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
like a snowball effect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what sort of music, like what sort of genre or guitar styles were you shown, or did you get into when you were first starting out?
I listened when I was younger and kind of playing in bands more. People started bringing Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix to me, so I'd be really listening to those guys a lot. And I really got into Jimmy Page is still and one of my favourite guitar players. So listening, and obviously Jimi Hendrix, but they're very different. But I think I really love the Jimmy Page stuff. And then it was the 90s, so it was the grunge days.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like there was a lot of soloing and stuff like that going on. It was kind of more just chunky, heavy chords. So I was highly influenced by that stuff as well at the time.
Sure. The whole Seattle sound. Any
Yeah.
standout guitar players from those days? Like is it Kim Thale from the Soundgarden? And
Yeah, I was just about to say Soundgarden. Like that, he's a great player, isn't he? It's so
yeah, some of the tonal
unique to him.
choices, like
Yeah.
you hear the Leslie on Black Hole Sun. It's like, oh, that's really cool. I'm glad
That
he did
is so cool.
And any other bands that were sort of not highlights, but ones that kind of made you want to really dig in and learn some of the licks and riffs?
Probably at the time when I was younger, Led Zeppelin was definitely one.
Yeah.
And then just because I love all the choice of notes that Jimmy Page, comes up with. And then later it took me a long time to kind of get AC/DC. I kind of was always, I never really got why people loved them so much, but now I do years later. And so obviously Angus, again, his solos are fantastic. They're just, great melodies and great little hooks.
Yeah.
So I love that kind of playing. I've always been someone that just loves hooky style guitar soloing rather than just a lot of notes, and you kind of can't really make out what's going on too much. That's cool too. I love that as well. But definitely I'm a little bit more
time and place.
into the hook.
Whatever's appropriate for the song, hey?
Yeah, exactly. And then some favourite Aussie guitar players. I grew up going to see Erwin Thomas, or AKA Jack Jones. I used to go and watch his shows a lot, and I always loved his guitar playing. I used to go and watch him play in his original stuff, and sometimes I'd go and watch him play in a fusion band setting, and I was just blown away at how he could, how versatile a guitar player he was, and the tone, and again, his choice of notes. I always really enjoyed that. Dave Leslie's another
great vocalist too.
Oh, incredible! It's ridiculous how good he is.
And so I think I cut you off there a minute ago. Did you say Dave Leslie as well?
Yeah, Dave Leslie's another favourite. Again, you know, he's just a great, fantastic player, great tone, and you know, those solos in the Baby Animal songs, you can sing them. You know, they're unforgettable.
Yeah, like you said, it's melody. Sort of, he's using simplicity as a train of thought, or just keeping it as melodic as possible. Obviously, he can still play and shred and get rowdy when needed. But I've actually just not long interviewed Dave for the podcast as well. So
cool. Yeah, he's
legendary guy. Had a good chat, man. And he's in Melbourne now as well. So
he's actually not far from me, so it's handy too.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you get to see? Because he said he's got is his band Truck? Is that what they're called? Have you seen those guys around town?
Actually, we've done a few shows together, maybe a handful of shows. I've done some supports with my original stuff, and Truck have been playing. They're great.
Awesome.
Can't go wrong with Dave Leslie.
And what else is happening around? Yeah. He's a gem. How about other happenings around Melbourne? I noticed that, have you been doing a few of those blues roulette shows with Ben Wicks? Did I see you pop up there once or twice?
I think that last year and the year before I did a couple of them. And then just recently I played on a blues guitar roadshow with John McNamara and Andrea Ma. That's their baby. And I've never really
Jeff the Chef and Shannon Bourne and heaps of other legends.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy Hocking was playing, and Kathleen Holloran. It was just it was a really great night. And it's not very often you can get so many wonderful musicians on a stage together at once. So that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's pretty rare, especially, post-COVID. Everyone's a little bit scared to be in a room together. So
for the longest time, I didn't want to touch you or to call you mine. I never wanted nothing I could not define. Now we're out of time, What's the point of making once you know it's true? You're only killing time until it's killing you. What's the point of crying when I always knew you were only killing time, killing time, killing time? You were only killing time, killing time, killing time. Only killing time, killing time. Now all I do is need you. It's been the longest time, and I only wanna touch you and I call you mine. Now all we have is something that we can't define. Now we're out of time, out of time.
tell us about that.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. So it was basically, so they have their their kind of main band that they do these shows with, and then they get guests in like Jeff Atchison, Jimmy Hocking, myself, Shannon Bourne was doing this one. And, yeah, we just basically all got up for an all-in jam for 4 songs.
Okay.
So we'd play the songs, and then when it was guitar solo time, we'd all take a guitar solo in the blues kind of realm, which was really fun. And I got to hear for the first time Shannon Bourne play, because he's someone I've never actually made it to any of his shows. So that was really enjoyable for me to hear him play finally, and meet him, of course. But he's like an incredible guitar player. He's so good.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoyed his playing a lot. Very, very tasty.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And he's not afraid to be melodic as well, but he's also not afraid to get a bit demonic and just sort of play out of the box and just like freak people out. He's such an incredible, I don't know, just seems really connected to his instrument.
Yeah. I know. I wish I could play like that. It's pretty amazing.
Very amazing. Actually, I remember, I'm pretty sure, I went to that Melbourne Guitar Festival. I was over there with Fender back in 2015, maybe it was, and I think I saw you play there, but also saw Shannon play there as well, like an outside stage on the entrance sort of area.
Yeah.
Remember he was doing like a Hendrix set. I think he might have done like 3 or 4 Hendrix songs in a row. But yeah, that's where I first saw you perform as well. I was like, wow, I've never heard of Nat, and I'm going to, definitely check out more of her work from that point.
Cool.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I think that was 2015 from memory. The outdoor one. I think I did one a year or 2 later, which I was inside for. But yeah, that was good on the outdoor stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was rocking. It was a funny sort of space though. It was like this sort of weird, I don't know. It didn't really feel like a normal gig. It sort of felt like, there's a stage. Oh, here's some Marshall stacks.
Yeah.
Got loud and proud pretty quick.
Yeah, it did. And it was a bit cold as well from memory, because it was. They're always in the winter time, the guitar shows.
Yeah, not ideal for for strings being outside. But anyway.
But I'm glad you got to see me play, and at least you were interested enough to see what I was doing from that point on. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. It's just great to see. I know that being in Tassie, it's a little bit limited when it comes to seeing what else is going on. Like if it wasn't for the internet or for me to jumping on a plane and seeing other music, like really making the most of opportunities, it'd be quite easy to exist in a bubble down here and not really learn more about different artists. So I definitely make it a mission of mine to try and find new artists and new sounds and new approaches. Everyone's got a different approach to the guitar, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Pete. It's fantastic.
So I think you're playing a Firebird. Was that be correct for memory?
Yeah, that's been my main guitar, I think, since 2013. Once I bought that and put it on me and started playing, I was like, oh, God, this is my guitar. It just feels right and sounds right. Prior to that, I was always a Les Paul girl for many years. And I didn't ever think I'd ever stray away from that, which I haven't, but I still love playing a Les Paul. But that guitar kind of felt right so it's the one I use mainly. But for moving forward with my own stuff, I'm not sure that the Firebird's going to fit in there anymore. But it'll still work for Suzi Quattro and other stuff. that I'm working on.
Yeah. So tell us about that. I did notice that on the socials as well. You've been playing on and off with Susie for a little while. You flew to London, was it, to record with her?
Yeah.
And performing out here in Australia with her and for live shows.
Yeah, we've
Been
been
a bit of a buzz.
Yeah, it's been fantastic ride, actually. We've been working together since 2010. I met her properly back then when I flew over to London to record guitars. Mike Chapman, who was producing the record, called me up and just said, I'm doing a new Suzi Quatro record in London and I'd really love you to come over and play guitar on it.
Wow.
So I said, I'll think long and hard about it. I'm just
Pause.
Of course I said yes. And so that's how I met Susie during those recording sessions. We remained friends after that and, emailing here and there back and forth. And a couple of years down the track, she basically asked me to put a band together for her here in Australia because she was coming out to do the Red Hot Summer Tour and it wasn't feasible for her to bring her English band out because there's like 5 days off in between shows every week.
Sure.
So it didn't make much sense for her to do that. So it was really nice to get that email to know that she trusted me to do that for her. So that was a bit of a privilege. So I did that. We rehearsed. We went out on the road, and she's been using us ever since. Whenever she comes out, regardless of whether it's her own theatre run or it's the Red Hot Summer Tour. So it's been fun. We've written songs together. We spent Christmases together, and it's been a nice relationship.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Especially because you guys are. It sounds like you've got more than music. Like a lot of the time, music is a great connection, but sometimes you see professional relationships just existing on stage. So if you guys can hang out and have that respect for each other out of school, so to speak, or out of that work environment, that's great. That's so nice.
Yeah.
And that must be a real reward for you as well, right? Like to feel that you've put all this time and effort into what you do, and someone like that has gone, yeah, cool. Hey Nat, come and play. Like me, it's a real pat on the back. It's such a good life. It's a story to tell the grandkids, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They won't know who I'm talking about, but it's a good story. I'll just have to show them.
Yeah. So that's pretty high pressure environment. I mean, like for the first time, like you're flying to London, did you get demos and things to like songs to look at, or you just thrown in the deep end? Here's this expensive studio with, a great artist. Like how did that all pan out? Like,
well, Mike sent me the demos of the songs that he wrote, and there was a cover song on there as well that he just sent me. I can't even think of what the cover was now. It's like an upbeat kind of bluesy, boppy kind of song, really famous song, which I can't think of right now. And that style of playing was very different. So I had to kind of get myself into that kind of rock and roll, old school rock and roll mindset. That was a really fun song to record. So I got the Falcon out for that one, which is really good. But yeah, I mean, I pre-learnt all the stuff before I went over there. So I just always try and be as prepared as possible. And then obviously, like we were talking about before, once you're in the studio with the producer, like Mike would be, can you do this now and play this a little bit differently? And you just adjust stuff to suit what's going on at the time. But yeah, I did feel in the deep end in regards to the fact that it was for Suzi Quatro.
Yeah.
So that was a bit nerve-wracking at first, because we We met once a few years prior to that, but very, very briefly when I was working with Mike in his studio in Connecticut. So I kind of didn't know what to expect and whether she'd
Yep.
like me or, you're always a little bit, you don't know what's going to happen. But it was great. It was a great experience.
Perfect. Yeah, especially I suppose if you had a working relationship already with Mike, trusting his judgment and his professionalism, I suppose, and taking that as like, all right, cool, it's going to be great. I've always felt comfortable around him. It's not going to be any different. It's just going to be a different time zone.
Exactly.
Going to be different food.
Yeah, it definitely made a big difference having him on board with our years of working together. It was really nice. I wholeheartedly believe in his creative vision. I have so much trust in his ideas and all that kind of thing. So it was great.
Nice, that's fantastic. So how long are we expecting? Like you said, you're sort of still finishing off things in the studio at the moment. Have you got a time frame for release? Are you going to be doing any touring, or what's it look like in the next 6 or 8 months for that whole project?
Yeah, so we're thinking it'll all be kind of finished and ready to go by the end of August, but I'm going away for 4 weeks in September, doing a couple of gigs in Germany. So
Cool.
I won't be around to kind of do anything promotional-wise, so thinking we'll probably start releasing singles every 4 to 6 weeks from around November, just so I'm here to do all the promo for it and all the stuff you've got to do these days on social media. I don't kind of just want to put it out and just leave it to its own devices. You kind of can't do that anymore.
Yep.
And I definitely want to – I've already been inquiring about festivals that are kind of in more of that country genre-ish, country rock genre. Unfortunately, a lot of them are already – like submissions for them have already passed, so it might not be until next year. So, just trying to get do all that stuff in the background as well to get some shows booked would be really great.
Yep. Nice. How do you go with all that? Are you self-managed? Do you do most of that yourself? Have you got anyone helping you out?
In regards to my original music, it's all myself at the moment, but it'd be fantastic if I had someone managing me or a label or something like that again. Just, when you're contacting people yourself, it's always just a different vibe. You don't get taken as seriously. You could be the same artist, but if someone else is, selling you for some reason, they'll want to give you a chance or take notice. It's weird like that how it works. So I do find
it's that whole
difficult.
It's a whole. Sorry, I just hit the mic. it's that whole persona or the whole perspective from someone else looking in, that they see it as this, I guess this, I don't know, it's like I'm self-managed as well. I've always been independent, and I always struggle when I go, yeah, I'm great, book me, I'm fantastic, I'm just what you need. Like, I'm the last person to do
it's
that.
Horrible.
I'm never going to be that person. Oh, it's so rank. I hate it.
Yeah.
So to have someone promoting everything for you, I think that would be a dream. But I suppose when, crikeys, it's, especially at the moment, dollar is so tight. So unless you're working a 9 to 5 and you put all your spare cash into like the music, I don't know how people survive. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is. It's tough. It's a real money pit, which a lot of people don't realise. When you're releasing your own music, like the cost of the studio, the cost of session plays, the cost of mixing and mastering, like these things. It just adds up to thousands of dollars before you know it. Then you're supposed to do a video for your singles, and then you got to do short form vertical videos now as well. So you're just constantly forking out money all the time, and it's hard for sure. But if you don't,
how do you go?
If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. So.
That's right. You got to be amongst it, because you can't just sort of, like you said, ghost and post, or post and ghost. Here's a song, and then like expect it to do wonderful things. You have to almost get in people's faces and make sure they know about it. It's a tricky one, because I'm definitely not that comfortable in that environment, but it's one of those things you just got to do.
I know.
If you want people to hear your music.
Yeah, I'm not that comfortable with it either, but it's definitely something you've got to do more so, these days than ever. I remember once upon a time when you could lock yourself away for 3 months and you'd be, away overseas working on your record, and no one would know anything about it. There'd be no video updates or any posts on social media. That stuff didn't exist. But you couldn't do that now. People want, people need constant reminding of what you're doing. Otherwise, you just get lost amongst all the noise.
It's
funny how things
balance. Absolutely,
changed.
like to be a creative, but also to be that person who's selling. It's such a. I'm so torn between the whole two sides of that brain. It just does my head in. So,
Me too.
Yeah, I wish you the best with that whole release. I'm going through a similar thing at the moment. I'm sort of working on a record and releasing singles and all that sort of stuff. It's just a whole new world.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get there, Pete.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's really cool. I'm look forward to hearing the result of a lot of your hard work.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing the new sort of approach, because I know that, I think just keeping interested and keeping relevant to yourself is so important. Like, you hear artists that have survived the test of time. They just play and perform and write songs that they want to do. They don't think about their audience too much. So I think that's really important. So, well done for going with the flow.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an enjoyable process actually going with the flow.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I think that's a nice little place to leave it. So, like I said, best of luck with the release, and hope to see you sometime in real life.
Thank you so much. Have to catch up with you in Tassie. That'd be fun.
Yeah, come on down. Come on down.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
Beauty.
Thanks for listening, folks, to another episode of Say It With Guitars. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, share it around to your mates, leave a good review, and hopefully we'll see you next time.